Hi, friends. Thanks for joining us. Do us a favor, smash that subscribe button. It helps the channel grow. Benny, where can they find us on social media?
Yeah, you can find us, Ray Benny Sports. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Also, check us out on Reddit and Discord, and leave us a rating on your favorite podcast provider.
It's been a couple weeks since we've met up, so we got some NHL, Winnipeg Jets stuff to catch up on, a little bit of NFL, some more NHL, and let's start off with some Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Excuse me. Sad news in Bomber Nation. Sad news in Bomber Nation over the past couple weeks. The Bombers have lost some amazing players, but this time around, they've lost Dave Ritchie, who passed away over the weekend at 85 years old. One of the best coaches in the Bomber era that I've lived through. So if you look back on that time with Dave Ritchie, what would you say was your favorite Coach Ritchie Bomber memory?
Yeah, his was a great time because it came out of, the Bombers were bad, late 90s, right? Reinbold era kind of stuff, and it just did not look good. Ritchie came in and quickly solidified the team. I don't have a moment for Dave Ritchie memory, but I do have a whole season. And that 2001 season, that was, I know, unfortunately, it didn't end off on the best of terms. It ends up in a Grey Cup loss, but that team was magical. And I was looking through the guys on that team, and even on offense, you had Kahari, Milt, Charles Roberts, Bobby Gordon, Dave Mudge, McNeil on the O-line, just to name a few. And then on D, Bolden, Harold Nash, Brown, Marvin Coleman, McGriggs. And it was just amazing talent. And Dave Ritchie brought that all together, vanquished the Alouettes that were giving the Bombers troubles for years, up until that season, the 2000 season, and into the 2001 season. So great memory for me that season. That offense was lights out. The defense was really good as well. And it was, it was fun to watch Bomber football again.
It was great because he brought back that Cal Murphy old school mentality. No coincidence that he was part of Cal Murphy's coaching staffs before, but he also brought a new way of relating with players. He was, yes, old school in an old school guy, coach, dude kind of way, but at the same time, he had his oddness and his quirkiness that kept folks and his players, I assume, on their heels. So he had a weird way of keeping the room in check, but keeping them motivated. And of course, a memory of mine as a fan is going to the Bomber Fan Forum and hearing him talk, and just the quirkiness of hearing him talk about climbing the mountain and playing polo with king's heads and cleaning and drinking the good water. It's like, man, this guy can lead anybody to a championship. But in regards to a memory with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, you talk about the 2001 season. I'm going to be more specific and choose that home game against the Alouettes in the 2001 season. I was working on the field crew, so I got like a close feel of that energy of that team. And the Bombers beat the Owls at Canadiens Stadium on that day. And it started off with a goal line stand, 3 downs, where they stopped the Alouettes, and they're like, hell no, not today. It's not happening. Because before, the Alouettes used to bully us all over the field all day long. And they beat us earlier in that season in 2001. But this was the beginning of that 12-game CFL, not the beginning, 3 or 4 games within that 12-game winning streak. And the Montreal actually did get the ball back, but the Bombers, again, shut them down with pressure on Calvillo. And that was them taking first place away from the Alouettes, and they never let it go after that point. Because they were 6-2, I believe, at that point in the season, and they went on that 12-game tear, and they never gave up first. And that gave them home field, and that got them to the Grey Cup, which unfortunately they lost. But the stadium was rocking. The environment of being in Canada Inns and with a Dave Ritchie team was crazy. So, man, so many good memories with Dave Ritchie teams.
Yeah, I totally agree. And like I said, even with the Owls, it was nice to finally get over that hump because they were a pain in the Bombers' ass for a long time. It's funny what you said because I was trying to find it and I couldn't. Doug Brown mentioned the same thing. He's like, Dave Ritchie could rip you and then be your friend and all that in a matter of freaking minutes, kind of thing. And I wanted to find the exact quote. I can't, but it just shows what type of player he was. And the biggest thing that the players always mentioned was the Thanksgiving dinners at his place that, his wife would put on a feast for everyone kind of thing. So great memory for some of these guys to have. And yeah, he was fun to watch. His teams were fun to watch as well.
And that's great. I'm sure a lot of coaches do that. They bring their players in as a way of just to gel and get to know each other on a different level. But we see that a lot with Mike O'Shea too. He has these summertime barbecues with all the players in his backyards, with him and his wife and his children hosting the Bombers. And it's just next level to bring those guys together when it comes into, the thick and dirty stuff of the season. They don't blink because they know they're all together.
Yeah, it's funny because I didn't remember that when I was reading stuff about Ritchie again. I totally forgot that he was with the Bombers in 1990 and 91 until I was reading stuff about him again, and I was like, oh crap, yeah, I forgot that. So it was great to see him back then when the Bombers won the Grey Cup in '90. Too bad they couldn't win another one while I was here, but he had a great career, great coaching career as well. So I
think John Gregor is also part of that Cal Murphy coaching tree.
Yeah,
and also Bobo Bilovich. No, not Bobo Bilovich. Joe Faragelli. He's also part of the Cal Murphy coaching tree.
Pretty big tree.
Those three alone, Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Which CFL free agent would be, which available free effect? I'm in Edmonton right now. The air is kind of weird here. My lips are not working. Which CFL free agent would be a great addition for the Bombers, considering the salary cap? You go first.
I was trying to think, and you know what? I got a little rant here on the CFL site and everything like that. I was looking through the CFL tracker to kind of find who is still a free agent, going through the list until I realized that list, they stopped updating that list a long time ago because Rasheed Bailey is still not, or he's on there, but he's not on a team yet. And it still shows him under the Bombers. I'm like, oh, that's so frustrating. To me, Bombers need a return man. So it's either you got to bring back Janarian Grant if you can, fit him under the cap, which I think would probably be tough because he's probably looking for a bit of a raise, but not a lot of teams need a return man right now. So maybe they can squeeze that in there. So hopefully they can get that done. I was trying to look who were other free agents in the return game, but unfortunately the CFL site did not help me out with that at all. So I'm stuck there, but I'm thinking they need to go return game.
Like Randy Ambrosie wants to keep talking about making the league better and making it more accessible. Have a working and updated website. We went through this all year with statistics.
Yeah, and the stats aren't even up to date yet on there.
What is happening?
There's no stats from last year.
Genius Sports. How genius are you if you can't figure out statistics for a 9-team league?
It's so frustrating, man. It's so frustrating to find. You want to find that information. There's nowhere else to find it. There's nothing. It's nowhere. Well, so if someone knows where that information is, please let me know. I looked on 3 Down Nation everywhere, and I couldn't find any more updated lists of free agents still out there.
Well, I guess I'm going kind of on a risk here of taking this player because I don't know really what his status is. But I'm going to go with National O-lineman Shane Richards from the Argos. He's a former first-round draft pick in the 2019 CFL draft. And we were talking about, you got to consider the salary pack. And I might be cheating on this one because he might be a player that you might have to pay over $100,000 for. But at the same time, I think it's worth the risk. We're looking at perhaps a problem in depth on the O-line. And I think either playing him at guard, him 6'8", almost 320, or maybe a backup tackle to replace Hardrick. I think it's worth paying the money that you can for a high-level Canadian that is already still a free agent currently. So I think you might be able to get a good deal on him if no one snaps him up.
Yeah, I mean, if he's still a free agent right now, you got to think his price is coming down, right? Yeah. So maybe they could get a good deal on him. So that would be great, yeah.
Shoot, we'll see.
What free agent? What about I know the D line still, still question marks there. I know they got their guys or whatever. Would you have any interest in bringing back Jonathan Kongbo to play here?
Yes, because I mean about how he would be great perhaps around Willie Jefferson and in a rotational role. Yes, I'd be all in on that, especially if they can get a good deal for him.
Yeah, that would be the thing. His ego's got to kind of drop a little bit, and he's got to take a 1-year kind of prove it deal, right? To show that he can be that guy again and be dominant on that D line like he was when he was with the Bombers. He hasn't shown that in the last couple of years or since he came back from the NFL. So yeah, I'd like to see that move if they can, because that D line I'm still worried about that D line.
Go back to your roots. Like, you got an NFL contract working on the Bombers as a rotational player.
Yeah.
Shoot. Let's keep it on free agency with Rasheed Bailey leaving. Unfortunately, still sad.
Yeah, he's a great player, man.
Hard to Winnipeg. It's crazy. Like, if you talk about any players that represent the W, Willie Jefferson and Rasheed Bailey.
Yeah.
Top 2. So it's tough losing him. But let's look back on Bomber history. Who is the most disappointing Bomber player loss for you, me, all time? I'm going to go with Matt Dunnigan to Birmingham. Losing that guy. And then he went on to go pass for over 4,900 yards and over 30 touchdowns in Birmingham in a losing effort. And then the Bombers went 7-11 and still got a crossover playoff spot the year after that, after losing Matt Dunnigan. And that just started I get it. We haven't won a Grey Cup since 1990, but what really started the despair was losing Matt Dunnigan. The Bombers were no longer competitive. 2 years later, they got waxed in Edmonton on the playoffs, and that brought in Reinbold, and that kept Mike Kelly, Joe Mack. Yes, that's what started it all. So losing Matt Dunning, I think, was just the worst for me. The worst.
Yeah, he was great. And the funny thing is, my guy is also lost to one of these American teams that came in and tormented the CFL for 2 years and then took off again. Alfred Payton, losing Alfred Payton to the Shreveport Pirates, who then cut him 5 games into the season and he ended up in Baltimore. But losing that guy who was coming off a great season, what was he, Defensive Player of the Year that year or not?
In the East.
Yeah, in the East. So, you know what? He wrecked havoc. For those 2 years that he played in the Bombers, he wrecked havoc. The Bombers made the Grey Cup in those seasons, and unfortunately losing him again did not help the next situation for the year after that. I know he was a bit of a head case at certain times, but man, the talent on that guy was amazing.
Yeah. Speaking of guys with a bit of an attitude, head case, how about Tyrone Jones? Like, he did not leave at the end of his career in free agency because he got traded to Saskatchewan, and that was weird all in itself.
Oh, yeah.
But earlier in his career, he left to try out for the Arizona Cardinals because Cal Murphy didn't want to pay him. Cal Murphy went a long time with not wanting to pay good players the money that they're worth.
Yeah.
And part of the reason why he didn't pay Tyrone Jones is like, oh, I'm waiting for the TV money to come in. So you just wait and we'll get you your contract. But then the TV came money and he still lost a guy like Alfred Payton. I don't know. As genius as Cal Murphy was, there was a point where the free agency really started hitting in the CFL, and he kind of he
was old school. Yeah, old school.
Drinks, buy me a drink, Ryan Coke. I haven't had a Ryan Coke in years.
Yeah, no more Coke, no Coke.
That's dirty. Yeah, so those are the players for me: Matt Dunnigan and Tyrone Jones. Shoot.
Speaking of traded guys, I'm still bitter about Charles Roberts getting traded and not hitting 10,000 in Winnipeg.
You got traded to BC?
Yeah, he got traded to BC.
Yeah,
and I know he was kind of getting to that point of being not washed up, but the end of his career kind of thing. And then what was it? Fred Reed was looking really good. So yeah, he didn't want to lose Reed, but man, he let him get that 10,000. Just let him get that 10,000.
Yeah. I remember listening to Fred Reed play BC when he went nuts that one game. And I was like, this is the end. Charles Roberts, everyone's going to forget him now.
Yeah.
But Fred Reed didn't last too long.
No, not at all.
Let's move on to some Winnipeg Jets talk. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brought to you by Fahrenheit Airbrushing. Stand out on the ice, pavement, or the field with a custom airbrush helmet or goalie mask. A local Manitoba business with affordable solutions for any project. Check out Fahrenheit Airbrushing on Facebook or call them at 204-891-7431.
Tell them Ray and Benny sent you.
Just like we rehearsed it. Since we last met, the Jets have gone on a 4-game winning streak, with the Jets taking impressive games over division rivals like the Blues and the Stars and winning tough games against like Carolina. And then they went 500 in their next 4, losing to the Kraken, winning against the Kraken, getting smoked against the Canucks, and then getting a shutout recently against the Caps at home. Thoughts, concerns on those past few games?
Just going to correct you on one thing. They lost to the Stars again, 4-1 in that game. Said. Oh, I thought you said beat the Stars. Oh, when you said
I said they lost to the Blues and the Stars.
Oh, okay. They beat the Blues, though, I think.
I thought they lost against the Blues and the Stars in the Carolina. Why did they go 500 in that?
They beat St. Louis. They lost to the Stars. They beat Carolina after being down 3-0 in the first.
That's right. Yes.
And now they've kind of gone on a win one, lose one kind of streak. And their last 2 wins have actually been shutouts, I believe, right? Warsaw in the first one, and then Hellebuck last night. So,
and then they got shut out with the Canucks.
Man, that was quite the dud. Obviously, Bones was not too happy. But they've been up and down here lately. I know they're 7-3 in their last 10, but they haven't been good, for most part in 60 minutes of these games. Like we talked about Carolina, they were down early. They fought their way back. Not early, but they were down in the second, fought their way back. Dallas, they were down early and then just couldn't fight their way back at all in that one. And Dallas has had their number so far this year. So, but they're in a good spot. They're 2 points behind Dallas, and also 2 games in hand. And 2 up on Colorado, although I think Dallas won tonight against Florida. Nope, Florida came back and beat Dallas, so that's fantastic news for the Jets.
No.
I think Dallas was up 3-1 late in that game, so Paul Maurice helping out the Jets there. But they haven't really played a full 60 minutes. They're defensively, they've gotten kind of worse. The power play, which looked good for a bit, has kind of tapered off again. So some things for the Jets to fix up. They looked very good last night against the Capitals. Capitals aren't a very good team. They're okay, I guess. So yeah, you need to beat teams like that. But it's the top teams against the Canucks that, the Canucks embarrassed the Jets in Vancouver with a 5-0 victory there. And a lot of people were calling for Hellebuck, wondering what's wrong with Hellebuck because he's letting in multiple goals in a game now after not letting very many for that stretch. So, but he showed back into form last night in helping the Jets win 3-0.
Yeah, the Canucks wanted that one back.
Yeah.
Because the Jets beat them last time around, didn't they?
Yeah, 4-2, I believe, or 4-1, something like that.
So, yeah, the Canucks wanted that one bad at home. Thoughts and concerns. I honestly don't have many concerns. I think this team is looking really good, especially after the trades, which we will talk about. Yeah, so I don't have any concerns. I think it was an impressive run. What are they? 6-2 in their last 8. They won 8 of the last 10, including 2 shutouts. In regards to star performers, I'll just give it to the goaltenders already. They've been playing great other than that Vancouver game, which everyone played horribly in that one. Yeah. So in regards to star performers of that week, I'm going to give it to the Tendies.
Yeah, actually giving it to Bristol, who his last game was a 3-0 shutout win over the Kraken. Looked very good in that game and has looked good in his relief play of Hellebuck so far this year, which is great because the Jets can rely on him down the stretch here. They got 18 games left, I think. Yes, you want to play Hallie because Hallie gets better as he plays more games, but you also want to give him enough breaks that he's ready. I think they play almost every second day this month for the rest of this month. So it's a tough stretch. So you're going to need Brossoit to step up there. The only one game was a Kraken game where the Kraken came in and played Calgary the night before, came into the Jets, not very much sleep, and the Jets couldn't take advantage of stuff like that. They need to take advantage of games like that and put a team down early when they know they're kind of tired or coming in off a late game. And they've kind of struggled with those, and we've seen that against some of the weaker teams that they've done that. But yeah, if they can get that killer instinct like they did last night, they didn't give Washington much room to breathe or move that puck. Ovi, who's had tons of success against the Jets over the years, and the Thrashers, was shut down completely. He had a couple good opportunities, but nothing more than that.
Yeah, I love how this team can play like almost any type of style. They are a chameleon team, especially when you have like these Swiss Army knife guys like Iafalo, a little bit of Nemesnikov, and also Velarde. So I'm really encouraged by this team. And the fact that they can, like that last game, they are just dominating in regards to puck possession, how they can control the pace of the game and dominate puck control and control the play, not just in the opponent's side of the ice, but in their side of the ice. I know Washington is not top of form as they were a few years ago, but just the style that the Jets can play now, especially with the acquirements, the players they acquired at the trade deadline. Shoot, I like that.
Yeah, even the Caps coach was giving the Jets some praise last night because Carberry, I believe, that the Jets were just suffocating and kind of play and always on the puck and always tenacious at it. So it's tough to play against.
And it's great to see, Kyle Connor mentioning in a recent article, I can't remember who it was, or he's talking to the media period, but that they have the ability to bounce back after a tough outing. And when you lose a first round series like they did 4-1, no matter against who it is, and especially with Bonus actually using the words push back after that series, it's good to see this team actually be able to come back after either getting shellacked or being shut out.
Yeah, exactly. And they haven't had very many duds like that this year, right? And they stepped up and they came and played a good game against Washington after that dud on Saturday against Vancouver. So yeah, they've shown that they can turn the page and leave those games behind.
Any more thoughts on those last few games?
No, it's a good stretch. I mean, some good wins. They're keeping pace. They have a chance still for first in the division, which I think they really need to get going into the playoffs. So hopefully they can continue it.
Yeah, games in hand too, don't they? They have 2 or 3 games in hand.
3 now, I think, on Dallas and at least 1 on Colorado. So
Nice, nice. We've talked about Toffoli and Miller joining the Jets trade deadline. What are your thoughts on these deals for Toffoli and Miller?
yeah, good deals. The Jets did not give up a current player at all. Gave up draft picks, which is 2024 third, and then a second in 2025 for Toffoli, and then a fourth in 2026 for Colin Miller. So great deals. Toffoli comes in. The guy's got 26 goals, 18 assists. And then that puts him, I think, second behind Connor in terms of goals. And then last night looked great. Last night in his first game, not only in terms of opportunities, which he had a few, unfortunately couldn't bury one, but his presence in front of that net on the Iafallo goal, which was a shot from the point, Iafallo tipped, and Toffoli was right in front of the goalie screening him. And then later on, same kind of thing, which led to the puck hitting the post. So great to see. He looked good with Monahan and Iafallo last night. And then Colin Miller with Sandberg, man. They shut when they were on the ice. They were solid. They shut things down and didn't really let anything get behind them.
Yeah, they're such a good pairing. I really like the physicality of that pairing.
Yeah.
The Tyler Toffoli move was amazing. And like, I remember we talked a couple weeks ago. I'm like, man, I don't know who they're going to get without giving up a player. And kick myself in the ass with not reminding myself that Cheveldayoff consistently waits out until the last minute to make a deal in his advantage. And he did the same thing again. Like, I'm in Edmonton right now, and the folks in Edmonton really wanted Toffoli. It boggles my mind how they didn't get Toffoli. So shout out to Cheveldayoff again. He's getting all the props this year. He's getting all the flowers, despite being shit on for the past couple of years. Fuck.
Yeah, I shit on him quite a bit for the last couple of years.
Everyone
So
did. Everyone did.
I like that with Edmonton because Edmonton gave up a first for Adam Henrique and Sam Carrick or whatever. But man, yeah, I would have rather almost used that on a Toffoli type guy. I know they needed a center depth kind of thing, but did you really? I mean, you got Draisaitl, Ed McDavid, Ryan Nugent Hopkins kind of thing, right? That you could use in those cases. But yeah, if I was Edmonton, Toffoli probably would have been the better option, and you would have gave up less.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so great moves by Chevy. Love it. Even the Monahan deal has looked pretty good. It's one of the few deals that actually involved the first rounder going the other way. This trade deadline was almost like a buyer's market, right? Because the prices were pretty low for the most part in some of these deals.
Have the Jets done enough to compete for Stanley Cup?
Yeah, I think they're there. It's going to be tough. Like I said, I think they need to finish first in that division and play a wild card team. Not that that's going to be easy or anything like that, because your wild card team could be a Vegas or a Los Angeles Kings. But I think you almost want Colorado and Dallas to beat up on each other in a 7-game series, and not the Jets being one of those teams, beating up Dallas or Colorado to get through a first round series, because it'll be tough. You're going to play one of those teams either in the first or second round. So I'd rather do that maybe in the second round and let them beat each other up. But yeah, I think they got the depth. With Velarde comes back, you got some tough decisions to make there, but you also have guys, if guys get injured, that can pop right back into play. So I think they got and then the D depth now, right? Schmidt and Stanley are out. Kind of, they're the odd guys out. But if someone gets hurt there or someone's having a bad game, you can insert Schmidt back in there and let things settle for a couple games. So if the goaltending plays well, they got the horses.
We're going to talk about the Preds soon, but honestly, I think I'd rather the Jets face the Avalanche than the Preds at this moment.
Yeah,
of course, things can turn around very quickly with the Avalanche, but let's great segue into the next week coming up, since the Preds are starting on Wednesday at home. The Preds being 10-0-2 in their last 12, 49 goals in their last 12, averaging more than 3 goals a game. Problem with the Predators is that they also allow more than 3 goals a game this season. So I think the Jets should play some solid defense with some more consistency in their lineup coming off Monday with the new guys, and hopefully the crowd shows up with a divisional game, because crowds in Winnipeg can make a difference, and they haven't made a difference in Winnipeg for years now. And not all on the fans. The game day experience has not caught up with the fans, the novelty of the Jets being new. But yeah, they gotta wake up because the Preds are on fire right now. And yeah, that's gonna be a tough game on Wednesday.
Yeah, I'll be there tomorrow night, so I'll fire up the crowd for you.
Thank you. Hey, I'm going to the Oiler game on Wednesday against Ovi with my Jets jersey.
Nice, right on.
Anyways, sorry. How do you think it's gonna go?
It's funny with the Preds, man. Their last 2 losses and their OT losses too. So they still got a point out of those. And one was against Montreal, and one was against the Wild the other night, who pulled the goalie in overtime.
That was awesome,
which was crazy. I didn't even know they lose if they lost, that they would not get that point either. The overtime loss point. That's good. That's good to know. But I like the aggressiveness from Minnesota in that game. But yeah, tough game so far against this year against Nashville. Jets won 6-3 and then lost 3-2 on the other one. It's a division game. It's the Preds. They're looking hot. This might be a time for that power play to kind of get it going, as the Preds PK is not very good at all this year. But yeah, it should be a fun game. It should be a tough one.
Even the Jets will worry about the Ducks on Friday.
Well, they better. They got to get the win, right? There's no easy wins out there technically, right, in the NHL. So this will be a tough battle against Nashville, and then that could lead to maybe a downer kind of a game against the Ducks. Plus, it's the end of this homestand, which then leads into a 5-game road trip after that. But I mean, the Jets should be able to handle Anaheim, who's 4-5-1 in their last 10 and have not beaten the Jets so far this year.
And they just traded some big chips away.
Yes, Adam Henrique hung on to a couple other guys, but man, yeah, that team, I don't know. They'll turn it around at some point. John Gibson has not had a very good year. I'm surprised he didn't end up getting traded at all.
Yeah,
but
no doubt.
I guess his numbers aren't very good, so maybe that's the case.
Jets not the best at those Eastern road trips, and they have a hell of a road trip coming up, starting with the Jackets. Not bad. But then you got the Rangers, Devils, Islanders, and the Caps on the tail end of that. What do they need to do to win? Who needs to step up? Toughest matchup?
Yeah, right off the bat, toughest matchup for me would be the Rangers. That's always a tough game. The Rangers have been very good. They're 7-2-1 in their last 10. They just traded for superstar Jack Roslovic at the trade deadline, so that makes him even better. So
is Perfetti the next Roslovic?
No, I think Perfetti he hasn't there. Like, he's been injured, right? So he hasn't played a full season yet. And this year started off strong. I think he's still finding his way. And so far he hasn't demanded anything like Roslovic did. So
yeah,
hopefully he does not go that way. But
let me push this question up then. Can Perfetti break up out of his slump, and will he remain in the lineup once Velarde's back?
Man, that guy is snake bit. Like even last night, multiple goal posts, right? In other games, opportunities where the puck is basically on the goal line and just won't go in from him. I think he'll break it, yes, and probably soon. But he only has probably a couple games really to do it. With Velarde out, I'm not sure if Velarde is going to be playing in the next couple games or not. But if he's out for a couple more, that's Perfetti's probably not last chance, but last chance right now to get in the lineup, because I think that'll push him out, which would push Iafallo down, which would push Perfetti or Morgan Barron out. And right now, I'd probably lean towards it being Perfetti, but the guy can't sit in the press box too long because that's not going to help him either, right?
Yeah.
But he just needs one to go his way and kind of get that confidence back.
Well, that's the thing. It really depends on what folks mean by slump. In regards to scoring, sure, he can break that slump next game. In regards to his 200-foot game and being effective for more than 15 minutes, I don't think so. Not this season. I think it's all in his head right now. They have too many weapons in the top 9 that will play more efficiently, consistently than him. Unfortunately, I like the young guy to be a great player. Like, shoot, who doesn't want more depth and want your players within the program to develop and be better? But right now, I don't think it's not his season this year. It's not his season, unfortunately. But he'll stick around. I think it'd be foolish for the Jets even to entertain trades for him right now. And I think he will develop into a great Jet player, but 2024 is not his year.
Yeah, excuse me. Bonus did come out and say last game that he played very well. He was thinking about putting him up on the second line at certain moments of the game, not for the full time or anything, but he said with Nemestikov and Barron, they had a very good game. So he's got to continue to show more of that. And these moves for Toffoli, And the earlier trades for Velarde and Iafallo has given them enough depth that, you know what, if they need to, they can let Perfetti sit. But I think if something goes his way on the ice, goal-wise, points-wise, I think that'll help start to turn him around, because he was good in that 200-foot game earlier in this season, and was showing great strides and was looking like he was going to be a breakout star kind of thing this year. But that's tapered all off, and he's kind of need to take a step back, and maybe sitting may not be the greatest, but it may actually help him to see, hey, what I need to do to get back in the lineup. And then there's no pressure for him to get back in the lineup. You know, if the Jets are playing well and they got these other guys playing in his spot. So it's good problem to have for the Jets. Not great for Perfetti, but hopefully he can break out of it.
Yeah, I agree. I'm cheering for the dude. Let's move on to quick shots. Best move of the NHL trade deadline? Two. I'm going to go with two, and both being Carolina with Gunsel and Kuznetsov. I think it really sets them apart from the rest of the East, to be honest with you. I think the East is the Hurricanes division to lose at this point.
Yeah, well, he's still got the Rangers in there who, like we talked about, brought in Jack Roslovic, didn't really make many other moves. But to me, I like the Gensel trade. Great move. They really didn't give up, anything for him at all, which I think pissed Sidney Crosby off as well, because he's like, what are we doing here? But I like the Jets moves, but the moves that stick out to me, unfortunately, are the Vegas moves. And you got Anthony Mantha, Noah Hannafin, and somehow Thomas Hertl in there as well, which I think makes them a dangerous team. Plus, we know how they like to play the LTIR game, which could end up bringing back Mark Stone after that, which, if that's the case, you're going to be $15 million over the cap. Vegas could end up being going into the playoffs, right? So that's crazy to me, but some good moves, and they didn't really give up a lot to get those guys either.
Best move so far in the NFL free agency?
I'm going to go with Daniel Hunter, who ended up with the Texans 2-year deal. I think that D-line will be formidable with him and Will Anderson, the rookie from last year. So that Houston D is going to be tough.
I'm going to go with Josh Jacobs and the Packers, top 3 running back when it comes to receiving and rushing in my books. It totally opens up the playbook for Jordan Love. The Packers have a great, deep O-line that can play both the pass and the run. So this offense could be deadly. Is Derrick Henry a Hall of Fame running back if he retired today?
Yeah, you know what? I missed that part if he retired today. If he retired today, I'm going to say, and that changes it for me. He's right in the mix. I don't think he'll get in right away. I think oh my goodness, that's tougher now.
I say no, not in my books. A 2,000-yard season alone, and that alone doesn't qualify you as a Hall of Famer. And I think he needs a couple more years of dominant play, which he might do in Baltimore. Holy crow! But it did hurt a little that he wasn't a full-time starter in his first 2 years. So I'm going to say, if he stops now, no, which he's not, but he might be.
Yeah, I'll have to agree with you on that then. He had 5 seasons over 1,000 yards, that 2,000-yard season. And that was out of 8 seasons with the 5 seasons over. So not the greatest there. If he continues to play, yes, he'll eventually get in, but I think it'll be a logjam there anyways. He's kind of in that bracket where he could get in or not right now, but if he continues to play and move up the rankings, then yeah, he will. But yeah, I'll have to agree with you on that. And no, not today.
Will the NHL change the LTIR rules anytime soon? No. It's benefited these Southern Belt teams so much. On that alone, I don't think Gary and the owners will change it.
No, I think something needs to be done in it. Something needs to be put in place for this and not allow these kind of things to happen. Like I said, Vegas, if they get Stone back, you're going 15 million over the cap into the playoffs. So something has to change there. But yeah, I don't think the NHL will change it, because Bettman loves seeing the success of the Southern Belt teams.
Makes me sick.
Got a question for you off the top of your head here. I saw this on Sportsnet last night. Will Sidney Crosby end his career as a Pittsburgh Penguin? Yes or no?
Yes. I don't think this Gunsel thing will wave him off his track, and I think he's a pretty loyal guy. I think he'll stay there.
I think he's too, but he also wants to win. I'm going to say no. I think he'll look at it and maybe see what's going on with the Penguins over the summer here or something. But they just lost to Ottawa tonight. That's another loss for them in a row. I think he may look at it and say, hey, man, this team is nowhere close to competing. I want to go somewhere and compete. I mean, hey, Gretzky left, Michael Jordan played on different teams. It can happen.
Yeah. Yeah. I think he'd give them the offseason to see what they bring in. And then, because he doesn't have many years left. Well, maybe he does. Maybe the next Tom Brady. I don't know. It's hard for me to see him in another jersey. But like you said, everyone's done it pretty much.
It's going to be a few years. It's going to be a few years at least till Pittsburgh's back competing, if anything, right?
Yeah.
So that could be too much time for him.
Wow. Good question. Benny, you have anything to say to our friends?
You know what? Just good to be back. Thanks a lot for listening. Don't forget, subscribe and follow, and have a good week.
And from the famous words of LeVar Burton, we'll see you next time. Hey, friends and neighbors, don't forget to check us out online on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter at Ray Benny Sports. And don't forget to check out our YouTube channel. Leave a like, leave a comment, tell us what you think.